Okay, so Samuel Adams. Okay, when I said that, who thought of beer? Raise your hand. Okay, it's okay. That's not what I'm going to talk about, but I've got a quote by Samuel Adams, who's a founding father of these United States. He says this in regards to religion. He says, religion in a family is at once its brightest ornament and its best security. Samuel Adams was trying to get at that not only does practicing religion, give you a way to go or give you safety, but it helps you to develop into someone who you want to become. So today I'm going to discuss about how religious practice strengthens character. And to help this idea stick in your guys' minds, I'm going to give 3 main points that will help you do so. I'm going to talk about how religious practice creates solid citizens, how religious practice strengthens families, and how religious practice builds communities. So with the first one, religious practice creates solid citizens. I interviewed a man named Kyle Williams, who's a counselor to the bishop of my local church. And in regards to how religious practice creates solid citizens, this is what he summed up as we had this interview. He said that I am in awe when I think of the founding fathers of this country, the many soldiers who have fought for this country, and for the many freedoms that exist in this country. I believe that God provided this amazing country for me to live in. This country is a gift from God, and my heart is dedicated to this country. And this is what motivates me to be a productive citizen, close quote. You know, Kyle's not the only one that has a desire to be a good citizen in this community. There's a man named Sean Hopwood, and he actually writes his own article in April 2014, an article titled "God's Hot Pursuit in an Armed Bank Robber," in the news article Christianity Today. And so this is him and his conversion story to Christianity. So Sean, he robbed 5 banks, and in result of that, he was in prison for 11 years. When he'd been there for about 5 years, he became close to one of his cellmates. And this cellmate actually converted to Christianity while he was in prison. And this really intrigued Sean, you know, how could someone who had done so many bad things in the past change it to someone that could be good? And so Sean decided to listen to his cellmate, and then while he was listening, he was very intrigued. Within 3 months, he was converted to Christianity. He spent his last 5.5 years as a Christian in the prison. And when he returned, when he got released from prison, within a year he was married, and he had wonderful children, and he was still practicing his religion. And by doing so, he was also providing community service in his local community as a citizen. He said if it wasn't for him practicing his religious beliefs, he would not be the citizen who he is today. Religious practice creates solid citizens. So on to my next point. Religious practice strengthens families. I've got some statistics here by Professor Bradley Wright at the University of Connecticut. And these are statistics as of 2011. He said that he performed a study of religion and divorce. He said in his study he found that 60% of people who practice religion become divorced. That don't practice religion become divorced. And 38% of people who practice religion become divorced. You know, that's a pretty big difference, 38% to 60%. He went on to say that, the chances are if you practice religion as a husband and wife, if you actually practice what you live by, then you're more likely to keep that marriage intact. Religious practice strengthens families. There's also another conversion story of another man named Sean. No relation to Sean beforehand. This Sean Kabalsi, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He shares his conversion story of converting to Islam. And he's given an interview by Mustafa Davis in January 2012 in New York City. So with Sean, he had graduated from San Jose State University, earning a degree in business. He'd been a successful businessman for years, and after he had graduated, he had thought, there's more to life than just being a businessman. There's something else I got to search into. His wife had grown up Islam her whole life, and so had his best friend. And he got advice from both of them on how he could be able to practice religious views and be able to become more involved with his family. And easy enough because his wife is Islam, so he really got good advice from her. Within a year, he actually stated that he would actually state himself as a member of the Islamic faith. And during this interview by Mustafa Davis, he interviews him and his wife. And his wife asked Sean's wife, what have you seen in the past 3 years that you didn't see in Sean before he converted to Islam? And she stated that they argued less. He spends more time with his kids. He puts his kids before his work. And she said that overall just strengthens their family relationship and builds them stronger in unity. Religious practice strengthens families. Now, my last point is religious practice builds communities. Hurricane Irene back in September of 2011 really affected many towns in New Jersey. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints had 3,000 volunteers give countless hours of service and help providing for these communities in New Jersey. And these 3,000 volunteers, after hundreds of hours of service, not just from New Jersey, but members of the Church of Jesus Christ throughout different parts of the United States. And members of local communities, in particular Lincoln Park in New Jersey, they stated that if it wasn't for the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that they would not only have homes to live in quicker and have all the things that they needed in a quick amount of time, but they themselves as a community would not be closer together if it wasn't for their help. And as well as there was a shooting that happened in Charleston, South Carolina, back in June of last year. And a woman by the name of Fatima Knight gives an article about this shooting that happened at a historic black church. There was a man that was on a shooting spree, and he decided to kill 9 people, including a pastor. And due to this rancid rage, within about 3 weeks' time after it happened, 3 Muslim groups got together to help support people of this local church, and especially those that had family members that were killed.
30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. And those 3 Muslim groups started a fundraiser to help build money for the church and to help provide for those families that lost loved ones. And this goodwill brought thousands of people in the communities of Charleston, South Carolina together. Religious practice builds communities closer together. So what I've discussed is that religious practice creates solid citizens. Religious practice also strengthens the family, and religious practice also builds communities. And all these add up to how religious practice strengthens the character. I've given us many examples of people who converted to religious practices who have been able to build themselves up and help build others as well. And you're wondering why this is important to me. Why should I be listening to Harry? He probably doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't know what you guys are thinking. I can't read minds, unfortunately. But this can help you because a fantastic way to build character and to strengthen those that you love is by practicing religion.